The best healthcare is there in ways big and small. There when we most and least expect it. We may not see it, but we feel it. It lets us know we're not in this alone. Everyone deserves a healthcare partner who never quits. One who's there for what matters. United Healthcare. There for what matters.
Hey, what's happening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Financially Fit Podcast. I am your host, Andre Creighton, and I'm happy to be here with y'all today. For those that are returning, as I always say, thank you so much for continuing to rock with me. And those that are new, I hope that you find something fruitful in our conversation today. I got a good one for you guys. As you know, it's tax season, baby, and it's time to where you're either going to pay your taxes or you're going to get some money back. And I really want to talk about what you should be doing, what you should be thinking about as you're entering this tax season. But first, I want to talk really quickly about something that's a little personal to me. I try to let you guys into my life as much as possible because I think it means something to be connected to the person that you're listening to. And when especially in today's society where it seems like there's so much disconnection between people, I think when you let people in and you're willing to be vulnerable with people, they're more open to listening to what you have to say, right? And listening to your perspective. So I want to open up today with, it's not necessarily great news, but in the past 2 weeks, over a 2-week span, I've lost two cousins in varying different ways. One was getting a little older, is dealing with cancer. Another one that was an innocent bystander that happened to be caught in a crossfire. And it's just unfortunate. And, I'm not telling you all this looking for empathy. What I do want to talk about is in both of those situations, my family is scrambling, reaching out to other family members, friends, people that they know, asking for money to bury their loved one, right? And if you listen to any of my episodes, I've talked a lot about how you need a financial advisor, you need a CPA, and you need an attorney. If you can get those three professionals in your life, you'll be off to a really, really good start to being financially fit. And what I want to touch on today is that financial advisor. For those that know me, I talk a lot about how important life insurance is. And it's important for these moments, right? I have a life insurance policy, and, my life insurance policy is a 7-figure policy. I don't have a seven-figure policy because I feel like I need that death benefit. I have a seven-figure policy because if something happens to me, and the good Lord calls me home, my work here is done on earth, I want to make sure that my family is set up, not only to be able to pay off any debts that I have, but to be able to pay off their home, to be able to send my child to college, to be able to pay off my parents' home, right? I want to make sure that my family can be set up to be successful financially. And that 30, 40, $50 a month, however much it may be, that you're going to invest in putting towards a life insurance policy, that is something that can be instrumental in helping drive the financial stability of your family and loved ones. So in these instances, my cousins didn't have a life insurance policy. And it puts a lot of burden on your family members when you leave this world. So in this episode, I just want to encourage you all once again, if you're listening, if you don't have a life insurance policy, find a way to get one. Whether that's going through New York Life, Northwestern Mutual, whether that's going through your local credit union, they even have ability to get a small policy. Or if you have home insurance or auto insurance, you can get life insurance, term life insurance through whoever does your home and auto. There are options out there for you all. And it doesn't have to be the seven-figure policy like myself, right? But find a way to get some, find an amount that is meaningful to you. So that's my words of encouragement for you all today. But anyways, I digress. Let's hop into our topic today. So as I said, it's tax time, baby. And I get excited about tax time because if you know, if you've heard some of my prior episodes, I started my career in tax. I started working in tax, working on high net worth individuals, S corps, corporations, nonprofits, from a taxation standpoint. So I'm very passionate about this topic. And a lot of people on April 15th, they're going to file their taxes, or a little bit before that, right? And they're going to get that refund in a couple of months. And they're going to have a few $1,000s, and they're going to have already deemed what they're going to blow that money on. What I will tell you is you must refrain. You must refrain from the things that you do not need. If you have debt that you need to pay off, that should be priority number one. Don't go out there and get the new 4K TV. Don't go out there and buy a new car unless you absolutely need one, right? You got to get from A to B. But if it's not a need and it's a want, refrain. Especially if you have obligations out there that can put you in a better financial situation. If you are getting a refund, I'm gonna tell you right now, congratulations, because you have just given the government an interest-free loan. And you might say, an interest-free loan, what does that mean? What I'm telling you is the goal every time we file our taxes should be to net zero. We should want to be as close to zero as possible. We don't want to owe any money. We don't want to get any money back. And the reason for that is because if you're getting money back, that means that your withholding was probably wrong, or there's something where you didn't get all of your money throughout the year. So when I say interest-free loan, that means the government's been keeping your money over the year in their bank account with the interest, whatever interest rate that they're getting the interest income on, or dividends, and earning off of the money that you could have had in your pocket over the last 12 months. So while some of you get very excited about getting a refund, I'm telling you today that while this year is done, 2023 is done, and that tax is done, you need to reassess in 2024 right away if you're getting a refund, because I want that money now, right? And it goes back to the time value of money principle, right? Uh, a dollar today is better than a dollar tomorrow, right? So I want my money now. If I'm getting a $3,000 refund from taxes this year, I would have liked to have had that $3,000 in 2023, so I could have used that $3,000 to maybe pay off some debt, maybe invest it, maybe use it to buy something that I might want, right? Um, but if you're getting a refund, keep that in mind. If you owe taxes, this is a prime example of why you need a CPA. If you owe taxes, you need a CPA, because there are tax mitigation strategies that could have been had throughout the year that would have allowed you to be able to reduce your tax liability potentially. Or if you owe money, your CPA would have maybe set you up to pay quarterly taxes. So some of you are going to get hit with a 30, 40, $50,000 tax bill, maybe even more, right? And for some of you, that's going to be very unsettling. What I will tell you is, gosh, it would have been nice to break that up over 4 periods, right? Pay some in March of 2023, pay some in June of 2023, pay some in September of 2023, and pay some in December of 2023, right? It would have been nice to break that out. And that's why a CPA is so important. For those of you that work from home, if you are self-employed and you work from home, I hope that you all are taking the time to understand how big your home office is, being able to understand what the allocable amount that you can deduct of your cell phone, your electricity bill, um, any of those kind of things that you would be paying on a personal standpoint, you can deduct a portion of that based on the square footage of your home office. So if you're not doing that, if you're not doing that right now, that's why you need a CPA. You know, a lot of people are scared away from CPAs. One, because they're scared what the CPA is going to find. Two, they don't want to pay for a CPA, right? CPA likely will cost you, depending on your tax situation, anywhere from $1,000 to a few $1,000s, depending on how complex your tax issue is, right? And what I will tell you is I would rather pay that money to make sure that I am maximizing my tax strategy. I don't actually work with a CPA. However, I do have many friends that are in that field that I talk to over time when I'm getting ready to file my taxes, just to make sure I got my checks and balances. Now, I know the game. I play the game. I play the tax game. However, I know that I'm not staying up to date on the different tax laws and how they're changing year after year after year. So I'm really focused on being able to have my friends that are in those positions be able to help me fill in any gaps that I may not be thinking about. So if you don't know this, hopefully you do. The tax deadline is Monday, April 15th. uh, some misconceptions are that when you file an extension, if you owe money, that money is being you have an extension to pay that money. That's not true. If you owe money on April 15th, you need to pay that liability on April 15th, even if you do extend your tax return, right? If you don't owe money and you extend your tax return, you're fine. But an extension does not allow you to extend that liability. So that's a big misconception. And what happens with that is when you don't actually pay that tax liability on April 15th, you're actually going to have interest and penalties over the next 6 months before you actually file that return on October 15th, right? So it's very important that we make sure that we file our taxes on time, and we make sure that if we have a liability, that we pay that on time. If you do have a liability that is unaffordable, it is not okay to just say, I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm going to run from it. And I've seen some very successful people. Matter of fact, I was just sitting in a bar about a month ago, and I was just talking with some dudes. I never met them. And we were talking about, like, what do you do? What's your experience? Blah blah. And I was telling them how I started my career in tax. I'm a CFO, XYZ, and these two guys just started opening up to me like I was some type of therapist, I guess. And they said, I got a $40,000 tax bill from 2 years ago that I haven't paid, and I haven't done anything with it, and that's not okay. Because while they're sitting here saying that they have a 40,000 tax bill, that tax bill is a lot bigger than $40,000 now, considering the month over month interest and penalties that they're incurring. So if you do owe money and you don't have the ability to pay that tax liability all in full, you need to contact the IRS. You need to contact them via either email or a call, and you need to make sure that you set yourself up on a payment plan. That is going to help you pay it off over time and avoid the compounding interest and penalties that is going to put you in a position where you might not ever be able to pay that tax liability. And that's how a lot of people get into these situations where they owe 3, 4, 5, 6 years of back taxes, because it starts one year, they don't pay it, they don't get on a payment plan, and it just compounds year after year after year. And now all of a sudden your tax bill went from $40,000 to $200,000, $300,000. And that's not what we want. So we want to make sure that we set ourselves up on a payment plan if we cannot pay our tax liability in full. The other thing that I want to mention is this is the most optimal time for people out here that are trying to steal your identity or are trying to do fraudulent things, right? And what I will tell you is, number one, The IRS will never call you. So if you get a call from someone, they say, "Hi, this is Jimmy from the IRS calling. You owe blah, blah, blah. I need you to give me your debit card today, or we're going to show up at your door and arrest you." False. There's a few different things that are wrong with that scenario. That one, they will never call you. The IRS will do all of their communication via mail. You will get something in your in your mailbox that says a tax notice for XYZ, and this is the breakdown of what you reported, and this is the breakdown of what we found, and this is the difference of what you owe or maybe what we owe you. So be cognizant of that. You will never get a call. Number two, they will never ask for you to give your information over the phone. One, because they won't call you, but two, you should never give your information over the phone if you can help it. So that's very important. I want to make sure that we're diligent about that. The other thing I want to mention is when you are filing your taxes, make sure that you set up a PIN number for your identity. So it's going to ask you if you file your tax return on TurboTax or H&R Block, whatever software it may be. When you get ready to e-file that tax return, it's going to say, please provide your PIN number. And you can elect to provide it or not provide it if you don't have one. But I encourage you to have a PIN, and don't make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Because now you're setting yourself up to be susceptible to being a target for fraudulent activity. So pick numbers that are unique to you, and I very much encourage you to have that number and put it down somewhere safe so you have it at all times. But that's the best way to protect your identity, because people the following year and years after will never be able to file a tax return without that PIN number. So that's super important. I have a PIN number. I make sure that I keep it somewhere safe in my home or in my phone. Especially if you have a passcode on your phone, you can put it in there. If you don't have a passcode on your phone, it's probably not the best place to have it, right? But that's so important. So all in all today, if I can give you any advice around taxes, make sure, one, you have a CPA. If you don't have one, find one. There's firms, there's independent CPAs. You can find whatever one is right for you, but find someone that you trust. And the other thing around the reason why you should have a CPA is because for me as a CFO, I'm always looking at risk, right? Managing my risk, managing the risk of the company that I work for, right? The same should be true in your personal life. You want to manage that risk, right? So when you have a CPA, you're de-risking yourself from errors to an extent, right? Now, obviously, you have to provide the correct information. But if the CPA does something incorrectly from a tax standpoint, you've de-risked yourself as being liable to an extent, right? You're still liable because at the end of the day, you're the one that's providing the information. However, they hold a little bit of that because they're the expert, right? So I highly, highly encourage you all to find yourself a CPA. If you don't have a CPA, you can go to H&R Block and have one of their tax preparers provide it. You can go to TurboTax. They now have people online that can help you with your taxes. So there's no reason why we as individual citizens who don't have any experience in tax should be doing our own returns when there's these other professionals out here that can help us de-risk ourselves from any errors. So as I say, the power is not in how much money you make. The power is in how much money you keep. Thank you so much for being here today, and I hope to see you all soon. Take care.
It's not just another day in your life. Things are changing for the better. At Comcast, we see those changes, and we're thinking about how we use technology today to live, work, learn, and play. And we're building for the future now, so we're better prepared for the wants and needs of tomorrow. That's why Comcast is rolling out multi-gig internet speeds to more than 50 million homes and businesses before the end of 2025. making our already industry-leading network even faster, smarter, greener, and more reliable. Over the decades, Comcast has been your partner, working hard to serve your community, and will continue to be your partner. We're expanding our gigabits so you can enjoy the tiny bits that matter most.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business. Are you a woman known as a good listener? Do you have skills in de-escalating situations? Are you what they call a people person? Then the Minneapolis Police Department would like to meet you. Now in a rebuilding phase, the Minneapolis Police Department is recruiting more women to wear the badge. The department offers career options for women with a high school diploma or GED. There are also opportunities for women with 2- and 4-year degrees who are ready to apply their skills in new ways. Police work makes a great second career for social workers, teachers, nurses. Women in their 30s and 40s are welcome to apply. There's no age cap. You'll be paid while you train and mentored by veteran women officers invested in your success. Minneapolis also welcomes current police officers to join the state's largest department. Make a difference on the streets, working in your community, in a career with competitive salaries and generous benefits. Go to minneapolismn.gov and search police jobs to find out more.